Welcome to the family with
Co-host Catherine Brandt.
Andy Brandt Bernard.
And Kristen Burt.
the segment sponsored by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. So everything's good.
Me? Are you talking to me?
Everybody. I'm talking to everybody.
I just was watching like some of the, I think the Pope proceedings are starting. So I was watching a little
the
bit
first
of that.
vote was in today, I think, or going on
yeah?
today. Yep.
So they're going to do the smoke thing for the first time, what, tonight, or how does that work?
I don't know. I feel like it depends on, I don't know how many rounds that they do and how they whittle it down. I just was listening to like what type of Pope they think that they're going to pick. And they feel like it's going to be not exactly like Pope Francis, but somewhat in that neighborhood of Pope Francis.
The first smoke signal is expected to occur at 7 p.m. local time in Rome, which is 1 p.m. Eastern. So in about an hour and a half.
Oh,
Yeah.
soon.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's noon here, noon in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So yeah, an hour and a half. You're
Hour
right.
and a half. So,
But they've
not
never
by
chosen
the
a
end
pope.
of the show, but immediately after the show. But I mean, the odds of it being, I don't know how many smoke signals they usually have to do. I wonder actually. Let's see.
They've
Yeah,
never
is that
done
like
it on
round
the
one? And then do we have a couple more days of this?
They have
Let's
never chosen for the fourth time. I'm trying to get through.
Oh.
They have never picked the Pope on the first day. They will send the black smoke up. They have never picked the Pope on the very first day. So unless they've changed everything for good, it'll be the white smoke when they choose them?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the black smoke
that's
when
right.
they don't. Okay.
The funniest memes were going around because apparently somebody posted Donald Trump as the new Pope,
There you go.
and then they showed orange smoke.
That's good.
See how that's funny. There, now
That
you're
is
talking.
funny.
Apparently there can only be 2 smoke signals.
Yeah.
So it's like if the first ballot is bad somehow, then they do a black signal, and then
Yep.
they just do another like mulligan signal.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
But no orange. There will be no orange.
Technically
No,
speaking, Donald Trump could be the next pope.
I suppose.
He's not Catholic though. He's not Catholic.
Oh, isn't he? Oh, I thought.
Mm-mm.
Well, then never mind. Yeah, any Catholic male can be pope technically. I thought it had to be a
Really?
cardinal, but no, it can be
Yeah,
anyone.
I thought it would have to be
Oh.
a cardinal too.
Yeah, I would have
mean-
thought like moving up the ranks, like that would be your
Right.
next.
I mean, I don't know if there's ever been what the most recent pope was that wasn't a cardinal first, I wonder, but yeah. Well, actually, I do know that there was a pope a long time ago. He was just like a Catholic priest, and he had some problem with the process, and he wrote an angry letter to the cardinals. He was like, "Hey,
Ooh.
jackasses." So what they did out of spite was made him pope.
Out
Ooh.
of spite.
Yeah. And he was
What
like
would
basically
Jesus do?
pressured into becoming the Pope. The first thing he did was made it legal for popes to resign their position.
Ooh, I like it.
And then a couple months later, he resigned his position.
Well, it's kind of like Benedict.
But
Mr. Gucci shoes.
then the next Pope, what he did was, so now we have this elected Pope out there who resigned his position, which would, in some people's minds, make him an anti-Pope, which doesn't mean what it sounds like. It's not like an antichrist. It just means a Pope that's not currently Pope.
Oh, so it's
People,
like
people
true
would recognize him as the Pope, even though he's not literally the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, okay, we have this anti-Pope out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw him in prison for the rest of his life.
Okay.
Can't be Pope from prison. So
Most likely not.
So yeah, becoming Pope is I don't know. You don't want to resign. You don't want to leave a power vacuum. That's for sure.
Well, I think most popes would take it very seriously.
Except
I
for
would
Benedict.
imagine.
Benedict did not. He kind of was like, I don't really want to be here.
He really,
Tired.
He was just like, eh. The most recent Pope who was not a cardinal was Pope Leo X, and that was he was born in 1475. So
Whoa.
Hey.
quite some time.
So
Yeah. I don't
most
think we'll be
likely.
breaking any more records in 2025. And, you know, they were even just talking. It was interesting listening to the report because they were talking about the language and that they prefer a cardinal or whoever becomes Pope, I should say, just to clear that, that they speak Italian and not
Somebody's
everybody
standing
speaks
by-
Italian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's standing behind you, Andy.
Oh, hello. Let me get you set up with a thingy.
There you have it.
Is that Don Shelby? It looks like Don Shelby.
It is,
Our
yeah.
next-
He's all dolled up in his Hawaiian shirt.
Were you on the show when Don Shelby was on the show, Kristen?
Yes.
I think you were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I've
so.
worked with Don a few times.
Oh, he's
Yep.
coming in. So you'll
Yeah,
be-
how fun.
say hello.
And I
Shut
feel
up,
like he
I'm done.
filled in for you, Tom, maybe
Mhm.
Yes.
sometime over the last couple of years too. You were out for a few days.
Yep, absolutely. Don's a great friend. Known him for a long, long time, and it's wonderful to have me. Oh, Liz Collin cannot be on tomorrow, by the way. She was going to be on tomorrow, but she has been rescheduled, so she can't be doing it tomorrow. She's another
Oh,
one.
Better tell Andy.
I better tell Andy, but yeah, she's another Channel 4 alum that would come in and talk a little bit. But yeah, I got to find a sports guy. So do you think that Bob would be because I want to do like at the very end of every show, I want to do like a 10 or 15-minute sports report. So you think Sandy'd be the one to do it?
You got to do some chick sports too, like WNBA. Super exciting.
That's the interesting thing because I was looking through all the people on the air in Minnesota to find a woman that might want to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
that's
it's
not
got to be somebody.
it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because there's so many, and you have great gymnasts that come out of Minnesota. You've got
Mhm.
great figure skaters that come out of Minnesota. You've got a lot of, and they're both. I know that men also figure skate and do gymnastics, but I feel
Mhm.
like female wise, that's where
Yeah.
you guys have a lot of.
I think
Just
that is
Suni Lee is
true.
out of
Right. Indeed. We got
Yeah.
Shelby's name up there. Did Shelby bring some with him? Or does that thing just move over by itself? Andy's trying to set it all up.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we go to break while he's doing that? Because
Good idea.
although Andy's not in there, so he couldn't go to
Do you have
break
any
after the live spot.
reads?
Yes, we have a recorded spot first, though, so I can't go to break.
Why don't I talk in entertainment segment? I've got plenty to talk about. So
Works for me.
all right, let's talk about Disney because they are creating their first park in 15 years. It'll be the 7th park. Did you guys hear where it's going?
No.
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it is going to be like a huge technology park. They're really leaning into sort of gaming and really making things like the castle look very high tech. So it's going to be unlike any other park that we have seen around the world when it comes to Disney. It won't be ready until the early 2030s.
Wow.
Yeah. But they are also, everyone was like, well, what about the heat? How are you going to get around the heat? Because they're saying this is
Right.
an indoor and an outdoor park. But they said we are leaning in on the technology and use of water to reduce the temperature if you come to this park.
That's really interesting because they don't have a lot of water there.
Correct.
Everything's desalinated. And
Yeah.
when I was in Dubai, I stayed with a friend in her apartment. You take a shower and your hair's just like kind of crusty with salt after you get done
Ooh.
because they can't take all of the salt out of the water.
Saltwater pools are becoming more of a thing too.
Oh, are they?
It's
They
actually
are.
more reliable. People think that it's the salt in the pool that kills the bacteria and stuff.
No.
But no, it's the way it works is it's salt water and then it goes through a special cell that turns the salt into chlorine.
Yeah,
So
but
it
it's
still
less
is
harsh.
chlorinated,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's more reliable because you don't have to shock it and that sort of thing. The
Yeah, it's
chlorine
not-
levels are easier to control, but there is salt in the water. So salt water is just like it's a thing that you gotta get used to these days.
Oh my God, Alex is in too.
What?
Yes,
Oh my
unbelievable.
God, we have a full house.
It looks like
Don
the Brady
Shelby.
Bunch right now.
It kind of does. You're absolutely right. Don Shelby's in studio. Is his mic on?
Should be.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is on. Okay, good. I
Yay.
just want to make sure.
Hi, everybody.
Don't you have any colorful shirts to wear?
I'm wearing. You remember you got me on to the Tommy Bahama. Well,
Oh, love
They
Tommy
made a
Bahama.
little go
A while ago?
you
It's not
did
surprising.
That's because they're great shirts. They launder
And-
great.
and-
They last forever.
and we used to be on with the owner of
Yep.
Mhm.
Tommy Bahama. So
Mhm.
I angled for free shirts and didn't get any.
Really?
Not even a discount. Sad.
Well, I have a friend who works for Tommy Bahama and has since the beginning, and he is now worth $6 billion.
Ooh,
See,
So they've done rather well. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
fancy.
I thought he was the founder.
He was.
Oh.
I just didn't want to identify him.
works
So now
for-
you
a friend of mine who happened to found it.
Yes.
Found the company.
No big deal.
Exactly. So it all works out in the end. We're just talking to Kristen Burt was running down some stuff about the Pope, and is there going to be a new Pope soon, or what are we going to do with the Shelby decided not to be on the show.
He's
It's
moving the
tainted.
camera
And then we
around.
were talking about Disney's new park
There
in
we
Abu Dhabi that's opening
Yes.
in early 2030s.
So I have
I-
a question for you.
Yeah, I have a question too.
Okay, here's my question. Would it be a better world if we could talk Palestine and Israel into building a Disney World there?
Maybe that
Will
would
they
solve all
stop-
the problems.
Would they stop fighting constantly like they have for the last 5,000 years?
Instead of
Probably
fighting,
not.
take a ride.
Take a ride.
Make it
Taking
the
a
happiest place on
show.
earth. You can be all cast members. I don't know.
Yep.
It's
Be
a tough
tough.
one.
Oh, I wonder why Abu Dhabi, because that's still like Holy Land rather than Dubai, which is not Holy Land.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
No idea.
The money there clearly because they are partnering with a particular development company. I think it's Mural or something like that, or Moral.
Interesting.
Something along those lines. Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. So Kristen was just covering a bunch of stories. We've already talked about the Pope, but he probably will not be picked. They've never picked him on the first day anyway. So they doubt that that's going to happen today. It would be, what time do you say, about noon in Minnesota time, Andy?
Apparently, yeah. That's when they're expecting the
How
first
does-
smoke to go up.
How does one pick a pope?
The Cardinals get to vote.
They vote on it.
It's 2/3
The link-
majority, according to Tire Carver.
And it's got to be a
process.
popularity contest. Let's just be
Mhm.
honest.
Yeah.
It sounds like just, you
Well,
know.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of question of whether they're trying to change the direction of the church that Pope
Yes.
Francis put together.
Oh, is that right?
And
Where they headed?
and whether they want to use the Southern Hemisphere, whether they want to bring in people who will strengthen the church and go back against some of the strictures and some cyclicals that Pope Francis had done to liberalize the church. He was a little positive on the idea of including women in the priesthood, and that got people's nose out of joint. But,
God.
the thing is, 90%, I think it's, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Andy, but 90% of the cardinals who will be in conclave were appointed by Francis.
There you go.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So, so they are beholden to him, but because he's passed, I don't think
80%.
80%.
Close,
So the
yeah.
contract sticks.
108 of the 135 cardinals under the age of 80 were appointed by Pope Francis.
Wow.
There you go.
Of 80.
All right, so
I've
wait,
heard that the
for 80 or
the discussion I heard this morning was saying that it was going to not be like Francis, but in the neighborhood of Francis. So maybe like taking a step back from his
Oh, yeah.
policies, but not
Yeah.
3 steps back, if that makes sense, which I
what
can
I want to
see.
know is, okay, so the Pope is infallible when speaking ex cathedra, and the cardinals pick the Pope. So are they picking the guy they think is the most infallible, or does their vote make someone infallible?
Their vote makes them
Oh,
infallible.
It's like invoking
okay.
Yeah, so
infallibility.
cardinals are not infallible.
Right.
The only infallible one is the Pope, according to church doctrine. But the person who was 5 minutes before they're elected was not infallible, but becomes infallible by designation.
Interesting.
Look
Well,
at
I mean,
that.
technically they become infallible because God bestows it upon him, I would assume.
I wouldn't call that technical.
Yeah, maybe that's not technical. That might not be technical. Now, I won't ruin it for anybody, but I just have to ask: has anybody seen the movie Conclave?
Mhm.
Enclave.
Yeah.
You've seen it?
Yes.
Okay, I won't say what it is because I don't want to ruin the movie for anybody who hasn't seen the movie. It's about picking a new pope.
Yes.
As the pope dies, and there's something revealed at the end of the movie that to me doesn't make any difference because popes don't have sex anyway.
Well,
Are you saying that's not true? That maybe
I'm saying on paper.
I'm saying
Also,
on paper.
it's just exactly what you would
On
think that
paper,
Hollywood
it
would
is.
come up
Have
with at the
sex.
end. Exactly what Hollywood would do.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you want to watch it for yourself, it is available if you have an Amazon Prime streaming membership.
as
Oh,
it
I saw it
var-
on the plane.
As born and raised Catholic, I thought it was one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my entire life. God,
Good
that
acting,
movie was
though.
boring.
Good acting.
It was,
Yeah, the acting was good. Yep,
Yep.
that's
How
true.
many?
It was very
Cardinals are-
long.
Ray Fiennes and Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, there you go.
135
I
voting
love Stanley
Cardinals?
Tucci.
He was really good. How many?
I love Stanley Tucci.
How many cardinals?
135 voting Cardinals.
Do they have territories? How do you?
Well, yeah, they
Does this
have
work?
parishes. No, not parishes. It's
No.
They
one
have
above a-
areas because, like, cardinal
Yeah.
law confirmed me in New England, so I think he had all of New England. I want to say,
Oh,
Okay, remember
and like
when
Cardinal
we-
Mahoney was out here in California because the two of them were exchanging pedophiles, priests back and forth in the
Let's
era.
see. Cardinals are advisors to the Pope. I think they're in the College of Cardinals. I don't think they have territories like priests or
Oh, okay.
bishops
How do
or
you
whatever
become
do.
a cardinal?
I
Well,
think you
well,
get
there is
voted
there
in.
is a hierarchy even
Yes.
among cardinals.
There sure
because
is.
There's
Yeah.
the bishop cardinals who
bishops.
are over entire archdioceses. Then there are cardinals who are not, and so there are 3 rungs.
Mhm.
And then the voting takes place with the highest ranking of the cardinals.
Right.
They vote first.
The College of Cardinals.
College,
Yeah.
of
right?
Cardinals.
Where
No,
do the rooks come
They're
in?
all the college
The,
of
the,
Cardinals.
the whole thing is the College of Cardinals.
the conclave is the voting ones.
Right.
Yes, right.
And you can't vote if you are 80 or older.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Ageist.
yeah, if you're 80 or older and you're cardinal, sorry.
How many
You're out of the
cardinals
conclave.
are over 80? It looks like, from what I'm seeing, a lot.
Let's see. Percentage of cardinals over 80. If we're talking about the birds, I'd say 0.
Yes.
Wow, 46%.
Yeah.
There you
Whoa.
go.
Oh,
It's a
I was
very
gonna say,
old
I'm seeing
base.
pictures of a lot of them, and they all
So you
look
only
like
have
when
real
you
old.
think-
54% voting then.
Yeah, only
Yeah.
54%. Yeah, when you think
Hmm.
cardinal, you don't think young person.
Why can't you vote over 80?
I don't know, senility.
Well, I think the Chicago Cardinal, Prevost, I guess his name is, he is not really old. And he is in, I think, if you were doing the gambling line, he's probably number 3 right now.
He is born in 1955. So yeah, no, he's got a ways to go.
okay.
So you wanted to talk about whether popes have sex. I have no knowledge, but I do have this joke.
Oh, you have a joke. Okay.
Joke. So,
A Pope sex joke.
and please don't get your Catholic hackles up being raised Catholic, Tommy. But
Sure.
so 2 nuns were walking down the street, and they see another nun approaching them, and one says, "Well, it looks like Sister Mary Margaret got up on the wrong side of the bed today." And she said, "Yes, how can you tell?" She said, "He had Father Flirty's shoes on."
Now, see, that's funny. I'm sorry.
It reminds me of a Simpsons joke that was very similar. So, Catholic priest and a Lutheran pastor. It's a Lutheran pastor, right?
Yes.
Yes. They were like
Yes.
arguing about, who's right.
Yeah.
And they start insulting each other. And the priest goes, "Oh, go home and have sex with your wife." Like it's some gross thing
Yeah.
that Lutherans do.
Yeah. We were at
Uh,
my nephew's first communion this weekend, and Sage was sitting next to me in the pew, and he looked up at me and he misspoke. You know, when you just words come out of your mouth wrong.
Oh, yeah. I
Look,
have a
to-
3-year-old, so yes,
Yeah.
I do.
He looked up at me and said, "Was Dad raised Catherine or Lucas?" And then he looked at me like, "Wait."
Wait.
And I was like, "Catherine or Lucas?"
Catherine, the
Lucas.
Church of Catherine, all the way.
Yeah.
And he went,
Are you the Pope, Catherine?
I could be.
Well,
No,
and then
wait,
he
I
looked-
can't be.
and then he pointed at me and went, "You were raised Catherine, cousin Anna." I was like, "Yep,
there
I
you
was
go.
raised Catherine."
All right. We got to take a
Funny.
break. We'll be right back
Yes.
in a couple seconds.
What is your
Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. We'll be right back to talk more about what it was like growing up Catholic and not really caring about any of the rules anyway. You have to remember it now. And Don brought this up, so I got to mention it. When I was at St. Anne's, one of the priests quit the priesthood to get married.
Scandal.
He
Mm.
Or when they
married a
have-
woman.
Affairs with nuns. That's always fun.
Well, that's a possible. I don't know if the woman was I don't think I think she was just one of the churchgoers,
layperson?
A parishioner.
a lay person, something like that. But yeah, the father, he quit the church so he could get married. Absolutely.
Lay person, get it?
Get it? Lay person.
Because they
All
were
right.
doing dirty things at the altar.
I didn't even mean that, but yes, I did actually.
Oh.
That's very funny.
And as I go back into the commercial, I will say it again. Every time I hear the word Pope, all I think of is find of the Pope into the pizza. I think of it every time, even though I grew up Catholic, find of the Pope into the pizza. One of the greatest bits ever on Saturday Night Live. We'll be right back right after this. From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Allie?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands free, but you can't have your phone in your hand for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget. And now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
Right there, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you about my bank. That'd be North American Banking Company. When it comes to banking, it's all about trust, and that's what you get with them. They've been around since 1998. They've always made it clear they're here to give you a better banking experience with a focus on the local community. And you won't be dealing with some AI chatbot either. You'll get straight answers and quick decisions from real people that know you and your situation and are always ready to help. So if you're tired of being, hanging around big national banks, want something better maybe, stop by and see my friends at North American Banking Company. Visit nabankco.com. That's NABANKCO. Visit nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. We're rocking out, man. We're back talking about popes and conclaves and all kinds of stuff. Like I said, I grew up Catholic and I love being a Catholic, but I'm not the most religious guy on earth. I mean, it's, what I love is one thing about religion I never understood from the time I was, I think, 5, because I started school early. I started school at 4. I was in kindergarten at a matter of fact, I was still 3 for a month when I started kindergarten. But arguing over what's right about God, it's like, why don't we let God pick that? What do you say? Shut the hell up, calm down, and we'll get through it. Right?
Right. Well, I mean,
Yes.
my kids go to a religious school, and I feel like something that most people forget is that, like, the number one thing that's in the Bible, there's a lot of stuff, but the number
There's
one
a lot of
thing,
stuff in the
a
Bible.
lot of stuff going on in the Bible, but the
Mhm.
number one thing that Jesus taught was to just be kind to everybody.
And
Well,
be
swing and a
about
miss.
Fire safety.
Yes, and be cool about fire safety.
Yeah,
Stop,
well, how
drop,
about-
and roll.
How about we pay attention to the first one and actually be kind to one another? Because that ain't happening right now. I'll tell you that.
It's not.
It's terrible.
No.
And
And,
starting with social media, people are so mean
Yeah.
in the comments.
Yep.
Like sometimes I just read someone's thread and you're like, maybe that person shouldn't have put that video up. It's
Yeah.
just a little, but then I look at the comments and I'm like, you guys aren't helping. Instead of just being like to the person, are you okay? They're just like, you're awful. Why did you post this? And you're like,
Calm
who has time
down.
to type all of that? Or just scroll away.
Yep.
It's so easy to scroll.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the thing that I get confused by is like the people that there was a meme like a couple years ago that said this is how social media works, and somebody just posted I love oranges, and then there were comments that it was like you didn't even mention bananas and how
Oh, God.
like, all these things about fruit and how like offensive it was that they
And
didn't.
Everything is divisive. Like I
Mhm.
love watching food accounts, like people that create recipes and share them with people. And then you look in the comments and people are like, it's not good unless you put garlic in it. Why didn't you put garlic in it?
Put paprika. Where's the
Yeah.
paprika?
Exactly. And I'm like, adapt it the way you want to.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
why are you talking about a person who's giving you a free recipe and sharing something that they love? And maybe it's giving you an idea. Adapt it for your family, but don't be negative in the comments about it.
You should Google, or somebody, or just in your spare time. There's I wish I could find it. It was something about like food blog recipe reviews, and it's just random reviews, and it was like, I swapped the eggs out for mayonnaise and it was terrible.
Yeah.
And
And
you're
like, instead of flour, I used a packet of oatmeal and it didn't work well at all.
Ish.
And blaming them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. Like, I hate mayonnaise. So if I see that they all of a sudden like dump a jar of mayonnaise into a recipe, guess what I do? Whoosh, scroll.
right.
I don't go, I can't
Yeah.
believe you used mayonnaise. How dare you? Plenty of people
Yep.
like mayonnaise. I just don't.
Yeah,
Right.
I take out probably half of the onion of any recipe I use. They're
Mhm.
like, use a whole onion. I'll use like a third of an onion or a half an onion.
Right.
And I'm not
Yeah.
like, I used the whole onion and it was too oniony. It's like, that's the point of cooking is you can.
You adapt. Yeah. I don't like raw onions. Exactly.
All of this leads to a conclusion I didn't expect to be talking about today, but my conclusion is that during 60 years of journalism, I have arrived at a conclusion that the thing that I hated most about my job was your opinion.
Fair enough.
And
I agree.
I'm quick to add that second only to the fact I hate my own opinion. My opinion does
Sure.
not belong in the news, and anybody else's opinion doesn't belong. Now, there's a distinction between an opinion and an informed opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to somebody who goes into a jury and has to listen to both sides of the evidence, and they may have a conclusion already in their head, but by looking at the evidence, arrive at a different conclusion, different one than one they just walked into the courtroom with.
Sure.
And the judge never says to the jury, "Now please retire and look at all the evidence and return with your opinion." They don't do that. They say, "Return with your verdict," that a conclusion
Mm-hmm.
after the examination of the facts. But since 2020, I think, with the internet and with cable TV and with social media, the anchor on television will read the news, read the fact, and then turn around and go, "What do you think?" to
Yep.
the panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to turn it off because I don't give a shit what you think.
I'd even say that goes back to 2015. Like, I
Yeah.
think it goes even
Yeah.
I
further
think
back.
it's earlier.
It
Definitely.
might. But one thing that I try to express to people, and I just lectured at the U yesterday on journalism. I said, well, if there was a train derailment in Staples Motley, and there was, I don't go out with a microphone and ask just a random person, "What do you think happened?"
Right.
I go to a witness who saw the train
Uh-huh.
derail, or I go
Yep.
to the engineer if they're living and say, "What happened?"
Right.
Because I want the fact. I don't want your version of the fact. Or I don't want your opinion about what you think happened. And so the opinion has now reached the equivalent of fact because we're so sensitive about respecting a person's opinion. Well, that's bullshit. That never was true in the
I
Constitution.
like it.
My daughter one time, when she was, I guess, 12, wrote a paper, and it was about, I think it had to do with the Gulf War. And so she was writing an opinion about what Saddam Hussein had done and about what the U.S. was doing with the coalition. And she said, "This is my opinion." And I looked at it and I went, "Well, that stinks." And she said, "You can't say that to me." And I said, "Pardon me?" She said, "You can't say that to me. I'm studying government in social studies, and and you must respect my opinion. No. Read it again. The words are, you have the right to freely express your opinion, and I must respect your right to express an opinion. I do not, and I'm not compelled to respect your opinion.
Correct.
But
100%
everyone
correct.
thinks now their opinion is sacrosanct.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And
Oh,
they
yeah.
can sit down and anonymously type into a computer a comment that their opinion somehow is superior because it's theirs, but it bears no relationship to the fact. And so it's driving me
Wonderful.
crazy in my dotage. So I just don't look at them. I can't stand to look at them.
No.
Opinions bother me.
Well,
yeah.
well, we've gotten to an era, in my opinion,
There you go.
of very lazy journalism. It's copy, paste. Nobody is actually out doing the work.
God, my
Very
least
few,
favorite- my
I
least
should say.
favorite thing in the world is news articles that are just like an introductory paragraph and then 17 tweets.
Yeah.
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 All
But
the
that's,
Yeah.
I will tell you, as someone who is working in journalism, that is how people read now. And I think it used to be, you were supposed to dumb things down. So it was like at a 7th grade level. It's probably down to a 2nd grade level at this point.
Ugh, that's
Because if you
sad.
look at tweets, they're written without grammar or punctuation. They're just kind of run on sentences. And that's how people, and their attention span is so short. So oftentimes they'll do a roundup of tweets. Like, here are the reactions to, Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Boom. You
Oh,
just go
yeah.
down. And that's what they
Yeah.
do, because that's how you'll get clicks, because
Can
you've
I ask
created
you
a
a
summary of news for people.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
We have a war between Israel and the Palestinians. We have a war between Russia and Ukraine. We have a war between Pakistan and India. We have tariffs and a situation where the economy is in flux and business people don't know exactly what to do with their finances because they are not sure of what's going to happen. We may be facing a recession. We may not be facing a recession. We have important things to do. Why do we give a shit about Bill Belichick? Why is it a news story?
Honestly, I'm going to say,
There's a news hole. There's a news hole, and I lived in a news hole. 19 minutes in a half an hour broadcast is all I had to say everything that was important to people's lives. I would argue if someone said, we need to put Belichick in there because that's what people are talking about. I don't give a shit what people are talking
I'm
about.
going to give you my opinion on this, because I'm dialed into social media.
Not what they want to know.
They don't want to
Oh,
know
yeah.
this, though.
Get
They
off
don't.
my
They
box.
don't care about. This is terrible, but we don't care about. I'm just saying collectively, we, not me personally, but people don't care about what is happening overseas or anything else like that. They only care about what's happening within the 50 United States. Things are falling apart. People are honestly freaking out. And I will say this as just even in my Los Angeles bubble, because we've been probably in a recession for 2 years after the strikes we had in 2023. And people need escapism. And you know what escapism is? Worrying about someone else's 49-year age gap. And that is more entertaining because it takes your mind off of, can I pay the bills this month?
Do you know where escapism is? People would ask me throughout 60 years, why don't you do more good news? And I'd ask, well, let me ask you a question. If I do a story that says the prime interest rate is up, is that a good news story or a bad news story?
Yeah.
It's a good news story for people holding 401ks. It's a bad news story if a person's trying to buy a house.
Right.
It's just a fact.
Yeah.
And you have to supply the good or bad. Your life, you lead your life. If you're going to go out with your spouse and have a nice dinner, that's where the good news is. If you're loving your grandchildren or children and you're going to their games, that's the good. I'm not here to supply you with good news. My job is to say, here's something wrong. You folks who are in charge of the world, the voter, the citizen, you need to look at that and go, that's a problem or it's not a problem. And it's your job. It's incumbent upon you to take this information and proceed however you wish to proceed, but not the way I say how you should proceed. I'm not MSNBC or I'm not Fox. I'm down the middle and saying, I'm not going to tell you how to behave, but I'm not going to provide you with fluff to make you feel better and build our ratings. People will say, well, I'm not going to watch you because you only get bad news. Well, yeah, right. Tough.
That's why I go and watch kitten videos, just to make
There
myself
you go.
feel better.
There you go.
There's lots of things to distract yourself with.
Kristen, you have to get going.
I do. Yes.
Oh, damn it. It's unfortunate.
The battle of the journalism.
Kristen. I haven't ever had the opportunity to actually look at you in the face.
Yeah.
I think we did. I think you filled in for Tom. If I'm crazy,
On the morning
maybe
show, right?
like maybe a year ago, a year and a half ago.
But we didn't have video. I didn't
We
remember seeing
did.
it. Well,
We did. Unless I'm crazy. Unless I'm crazy and like I just imagined it all.
I wasn't there.
You weren't there.
I
All
wasn't
right.
there.
Well,
But it's good to see you, no matter what.
I like your imagination.
That's a good way to put it.
Truth, Kristen.
Kristen, we will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for
I will
staying
see you all
for extra
tomorrow.
time
Good to
with
see you, Don.
Kristen, good to see you.
Bye.
Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. We'll be right back more with Don Shelby. A lot to talk about today, as a matter of fact. It's time for Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities. Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities are a place where your loved one will live with pride and dignity. If you care deeply about someone in your life, Wellshire is the place I highly recommend. Wellshire is a memory care focused facility that has a full nursing team always staffed within the building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They've never used or relied on any staffing agencies. Wellshire of Medina is now accepting elderly waivers after 12 months of private pay. I know them personally, and they're a family-owned local company, conveniently located right in Medina and Bloomington. They're the best staffed memory care facility in the state. Wellshire has a robust community with activities 7 days a week. If your loved one is in need of a memory care facility, please get in touch with my friends at Wellshire. Set up a tour or learn more at wellshiremn.com. That's WEALSHIREMN.com. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. Let me tell you about my bank. That'd be North American Banking Company. When it comes to banking, it's all about trust, and that's what you get with them. They've been around since 1998. They've always made it clear they're here to give you a better banking experience with a focus on the local community. And you won't be dealing with some AI chatbot either. You'll get straight answers and quick decisions from real people that know you and your situation and are always ready to help. So if you're tired of the big national banks and want something better, stop by and see my friends at North American Banking Company. Visit nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This part of the show is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation. 952-925-5608. Don Shelby in studio. The legendary Don Shelby in studio.
Legendary.
With the entire family, mom, dad, Andy, and Alex, all four of us in studio with Don Shelby. So that's cool. You know, it's interesting what you were talking about, Don, the fact that some people see, yes, this is wonderful. Other people think it's horrible.
Right.
The world sucks. The world's great, blah, blah, blah. I haven't even told Catherine this yet because it just happened yesterday. I was pulling out of the garage yesterday, and one of the guys came over, John, just a great guy, wonderful guy. He said, man, I got to tell you something. And it's kind of what you were talking about. I said, yeah, what's that? And he goes, there's a guy in this building that doesn't like you at all. I said, yeah, I know. I know who the guy is. Absolutely. He goes, yeah, but he was telling people you're racist. And I said, and he doesn't even know me, but that's what he's telling people. He goes, yeah. So you know what I did? I did my research. And what's that thing called? It's not Wikipedia. Is that?
It is Wikipedia.
It is Wikipedia.
That is a thing. Yes.
He said, I went and read the article in Wikipedia that said, called you this and that and blah, 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 blah. I said, so I did a little research because he watches the show. He not only listens to it, but he watches it. So John did a little research and he said, I don't know if I went to the wrong place or whatever, but I got to 15 people and 9 of the 15 people that are your friends are black. I said, it's pretty tough to be racist when 9 out of 15 guys are black, or people, not just guys, but
Depends. Are they Republicans?
yeah, that's true. But isn't that interesting that people, do you think, Don, that people lean heavily on social media for the truth? God, I hope not.
Yes, it's their only truth.
absolutely.
And the reason for that is in my analysis, the conclusion I've reached is that the idea of citizenship, the idea of doing your own work, doing your own research, like John did, and trying to find out what the truth is,
Right.
is a failing because we become so lazy in terms of citizenship that we now rely on other people to make up our minds for us.
Yep.
And and it's easier. I mean, I understand that it is much easier to listen to someone and say, well, that's what I think. That's what I'm going to think from now on, because I've bypassed the actual hard work of being a citizen. And that is trying to arrive at the truth. I told you this before, Tommy, that when I was young, my mother said, don't talk to your dad in the morning and don't talk to your dad as soon as he gets home from work. And I didn't understand why. But we had a morning and afternoon newspaper. And the old man would go to the kitchen table and lay out the morning newspaper and read every Framin story in there, all the way through the jump page, everything. And then when it was concluded, he'd fold it up and then we could talk. And then when he got home, he got the evening newspaper and he read everything. And I finally said, damn it, Dad, why do you do that? And he said, that's my job. And I said, no, it's not your job.
Right.
I know what your job is. And he said, no, it's my first job. My first job is being a citizen. And so I've got to know stuff in order to exercise this privilege of the right to vote and help guide this country. And he didn't say it as well as I said it, but I've just boiled it down. And I don't know if that's the reason I became a journalist, but he had such respect at that time for the fact. And he thought he needed to, as a citizen, know facts because a vote to him was really, really important. And he felt an obligation to be informed so he could make the right decision. And sometimes he'd vote Republican, and sometimes he'd vote Democrat based on that which he knew factually and had processed in his head. But so many people, I would say the majority of people, rely on other people to make up their minds for them.
And you're absolutely right about that. I get messages on my watch, and apparently some of the people that live in the building are watching the show and listening to the show today. And they brought up something, Catherine and I, yesterday. We're leaving the building, and I won't say his name, but he's from Haiti, or I'm talking about Lewis. Is he from Haiti, or is he from?
I have no idea where Lewis is from.
He talks like this. He's got that Haitian voice.
Say bonjour. If he says hello back, he's Haitian.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
I'll give that a whirl. But as we were pulling out, yes, I think I'm pretty sure you were with me when Lewis walked over to the window and started talking to me.
Nope, I was not.
Oh,
there.
you were not? Oh, then you're going to love this.
Okay.
Because Lewis is one of the sweetest, nicest, harder working men you'd ever know.
Man, does he work hard.
And he's just a great guy. He comes over and goes, Tom, how you doing, Tom? I said, everything's great. He goes, I'm not having a good day, Tom. I said, why is that? And he goes, after work, I've been working for 16 straight hours, and today I have to go home and kill my son. Now, did I think he was serious? No. But after working 16 hours, he didn't want to hear mom screaming at the kids.
Yeah, he works 2 full-time jobs because he's got a daughter who he says, well, we've met her. She's lovely. She's
Yes.
very, very smart.
Yes.
And she got into a college, and he's very, very proud. And he has to work very hard so that she doesn't have to work while she's in college. That's how dedicated he is
Very,
to
very smart guy.
this.
But I mean, there's an example right there.
Tom, the people who have not listened to the show for a long time, you were the first on-air personality with any kind of power at all who made part of your show permanently African-American people as
Yep.
part of your team.
Yep.
And so when people call you racist, and you and I have been friends for 45 years,
Long
when they
time.
call you racist, I want to go back to my street fighting days.
Me too.
I want to knock a motherfucker out.
Well,
Well-
if you want to say something to those people, I know the people in the chat have been requesting a GFY.
Oh,
No.
they want to hear GFY from Don Shelby. There's no question about it.
It's been a while.
It was a highlight there for a
I
very
feel
long
bad
time.
doing it with a family. It's when,
No.
when
Oh,
when
right.
we
But
were
they've
doing
known
it
you
without
long.
family.
They're all well over 21.
I probably should. All right, I'll give you one. All right. Go fuck yourself.
Used to say that
There
on the
it
show
is.
all the time. It
Yeah,
was
all the
wonderful.
time.
The man we know and love.
Hey, I want to make another observation too, Tommy, and you, Catherine, you have to see what the expression on my face when I walked in here. I did not recognize Andy.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I did not recognize Andy. And I would recognize Andy from 15 years ago in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know, on the street, I would holler at him. But
I don't have hair anymore.
it's not the hair.
And the beard.
And the beard, yes.
You have grown into this incredible person, and you didn't speak a lot back in the day.
No, I
And-
rarely spoke.
And now you do, and now you have things to say, and you're just remarkable. And I'm sitting across from Alex, and I go back to how long ago was it? Was it 2 years ago that you got married and
2 years.
ceremony and no
Maybe
10
10.
years, and I've got
Yeah.
2 kids, and I'm thinking
Yeah.
I am older than shit. And then I have to remember that I've got a daughter. I've got 3 daughters. I got my oldest daughter is approaching 50,
Oh, dear.
and I'm holy mackerel.
He's-
I'm getting ready to buy a plot right now.
You're ready to check out.
I know. Andy's
No
going to be
doubt about
40
it.
in a click.
Man,
Yeah,
you
year and a
know,
half. I'll be
you got
40 years
remarkable.
old.
I just wanted to say you got remarkable children.
Well, thank you.
I will say this, and I'm very serious about this. Back in the day, and this was 30 years ago, probably, maybe even 40 years ago now, that somebody go after me, and I would always go over to Channel 4, and Don and I would go up on the roof and smoke a cigar, and I'd try to learn from Don how the hell to handle this. Because I did not know, Don knew, and he passed this along to me. You probably remember passing this along to me all those years ago. So I said, what is their problem? What is the problem here? It's 100% lies. Why do they have to do it? And Don said, you're number one in the market, Tom. You have to pay the price.
Yep.
You
Yep.
cannot have such high ratings and have people like you. It doesn't happen. If people like
True.
you, other people are not going to like you.
And I'll give you the other side of that. One day
Yeah.
I was at the newsroom, and I get a call from Tom Bernard. And he goes, you son of a bitch. How in the world, after all the time we spent together, can you say the kind of shit that you've been saying to people about me? And I'm going, what in the hell are you talking about? Somebody had told him, and they were lying, that I had said something negative about him.
Yeah.
And I thought you were going to come over and knock me out.
Well, I love you. That might be
Well,
why.
thanks for giving him the benefit of the
Yeah,
doubt.
exactly. Wow.
But by the end of the conversation, I convinced you that was a total lie, and
Yeah.
you're listening to the wrong people. And I would never ever say anything like that, and never have said anything like that. So,
Well, I tell you,
that was the nature of the relationship, which has always been on a
Mhm.
high plane. But that was a moment when somebody got to you and said something that made you angry at me when that was not a true thing. And we lived through that and remained great friends.
Well, the only reason that happened is because I always have and I always will adore you. You're one of my favorite people. You're a very honest man. And they probably knew that. That's probably why they did it. Because they knew that I thought the world of you. I still think the world of you. You're the best news person I've ever seen. You're one of the only news anchors I've ever seen that doesn't have to put on the, I'm charming. You just are charming. You don't have to put it on for the news people. You know what I'm talking about. But I just don't understand why it is that because people know that you and I have been friends for, like you said, 40 years or whatever, 45, maybe it's 45 by now. But
it is.
I mean, they don't want people like Don and me to be friends. They just don't want that. And no, you can't be doing that. That's totally wrong.
They couldn't see how it works. They just don't see how that works.
It's too bad. It's too bad that it happened that way. But then in the long run, you had a very long and wonderful career. So did I. Everything is fantastic. The world has gotten a lot different though, man. People do not like you if you succeeded. They don't care if you succeed to a very high level, they really get pissed off about that.
Yeah. We're privileged.
Yeah. No question about it.
Like we didn't work. The place we were.
Exactly.
just clawing people's eyes out and street fighting to get where we are.
Don, what have you been up to?
Yeah.
We haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah,
we saw you in your play over
that was a while ago though.
Yeah.
Christmas or something. Frankenstein Christmas. What was it?
We did that radio play.
Yeah, that was fun.
Museum broadcasting. And I'll start with the not the least important, but the low-hanging fruit. Nancy Nelson and I have been doing a play called Love Letters at the Chanhassen Dinner Theater. We've been doing it for 4 years. We do it a month in February and a month in November, I think September this year. And it sells out every year. And it's just the two of us on stage. And it's fun to be back with Nancy because I love her and I've known her all my career in Minnesota. And she was, of course, married to Bill Carlson. And so we're doing that. But I'm trying to get off all these boards that I'm currently on.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Because I said yes when I'm retired. I figured I want to be a has-been, and there's radar these people have, and they call you and say, "Oh, don't let all your expertise and your community involvement go to waste. We could sure use you on this board." And I said immediately, I didn't even have to think about it. I said yes because I was worried I would be nobody. And so I said yes to too many. And I ended up being capital campaign chair for now 4 different things. I'm a trustee of the Science Museum of Minnesota with a $99 million nut that we've got to raise. I'm working with some African-American organizations, Turning Point and the Cultural Wellness Center, to raise money and Vocal Essence. It's just too much. But
And also people see you and run the other way now because you're always asking for money.
they don't answer. they because of caller ID, they don't answer the phone. Yeah, because they know I'm going to ask for money, and it's just terrible.
Well, speaking of not answering the phone when you call, a couple days ago you called at like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, "What the hell's he calling me at 11 o'clock?" Then I realized
That's
I was
early.
like, "Last time you knew me, I was staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning."
Yes.
Yep. I don't do that anymore.
I still do.
You
because I work nights all my life, and just my diurnal clock makes it.
Yep.
I just cannot go to bed earlier than about 2 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, after all those years.
Ages. And I'm still like, I wake up at 7-ish. I don't like it. But, I
Yeah.
can do it if necessary.
Just got a message here. As a matter of fact, someone saw that you were going to be on the show, Don Shelby. Tell him Z says hi. You got
my gosh.
Yep.
I
Z.
love Z.
Yep. Z is wonderful. Now there's a perfect example. Nobody, and I won't even tell them who Z is. Well, they can find out for themselves. But no one on earth would believe that she and I could be very good friends, and we are.
Yes.
I just adore that woman. She was one of the people there that night, as a matter of fact, doing the play.
Yeah.
A while
She's one of
back.
the best reporters in this market has ever seen.
No question about it.
Wonderful reporter.
Yeah,
And a
nice
beautiful,
job.
beautiful person.
I agree with you 100%. She is very, very excited to be watching this. As you guys will have a great time together, and she was absolutely right about that. Z, I told Don that Z says hello, so that's good.
Yeah, I see.
Now, looking at that, though, you would think, because people think I'm way far right liberal, politically, I mean, and which I'm not. I tend to bounce back and forth quite a bit. I like Democrats. I like Republicans and centrists. People on the far left and the far right, I'm not wild about. If you have extreme opinions, I don't care if you're conservative, if you're liberal. It's too over the top for me, But I grew up around Democrats and, spent a lot of time around Republicans, people, centrists and all the rest of it. But who would think that Z and I could ever be friends if you think that I'm way far right and she's way far left? We could never be friends.
Yeah.
But we are and have been for years, as a matter of fact. Probably because I was a buddy of yours. That's probably opened the door for us.
Well, I think you're forgetting about a documentary called The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyone can get along.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very, very true. There's no question.
Charlie wanted me to ask you about Broadcast Wars. You were the narrator of it, apparently.
No, I wasn't a narrator. I was a guest. And
you were a guest.
Z did. Now we've identified her. Kathy Werzer.
Kathy Werzer, yep.
For TPT. Did a wonderful documentary on Broadcast Awards. And I have to tell you this, though, guys. So one of my good friends, people would also not realize this, but Ron Majors, not Paul, Ron Majors was one of my all-time best buddies. And we've stayed in touch through all of the years and when he went out to Chicago. And so I did my interview. Z set it up. And I went to TPT and we shot the interview. And then I get an email from Mage, and he says, "That's the longest interview I've ever set for in my life." and then I text back to him, "How long was yours?" And he said, "It was a whole hour." And I had to sit there for 1 hour for this interview. And I had to text back the truth. I did 3.
3 hours.
Wow.
3 hours in the chair with Z.
Well, she is phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. Ran into her obviously that night over at what is that place over there?
Havoc
Museum.
Museum Broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you have it. But yeah, I ran into you. I ran into Kathy over there. I ran into a bunch of Dave Lee had written the play. I think that you guys were doing, right?
And he, an aside, Dave Lee, the famous CCO morning anchor, Dave's original idea when he came out of college was to become a screenwriter and go to Hollywood.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Writing his long suit. What do you have to waving? You're going.
Oh, Alex has to hit the road. Oh, you know what, Alex? I'll do the break here. So
Yeah.
you
Sorry.
can. I'll do the break.
Exit
and we'll be right back.
seamlessly.
Alex will talk to you later on today.
Bye, honey.
Cool.
Bye, honey. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the deal. Let's talk about clients, people that advertise on this show. And thank you to every one of you, because I looked at the log today and it's full. And thank you so much. It means we're doing well. I mean, it's really interesting because you're listening to us. Your customers are listening to us. They'll hear me promote your business, which I do quite a bit. Do several live spots, as a matter of fact. People are you're loyal, you're engaged, ready to support the business that you trust, which I really appreciate. That there's so many points about doing this commercial that I'm grateful for, because your loyalty, the fact that you do listen to the show, it's wonderful. Our podcast has helped numerous businesses increase traffic, sales, brand recognition. We're not just about ads, we're about results, which, Billy Kozlak from Jack's just came on last week. We started doing it. The first time I talked about giving the $100 away for having dinner at Jack's, over 7,000 people, last I checked, had posted about that on social media. 7,000 of you. So thank you so much. It's really nice of you. Whether you're a local business or a national brand, we offer custom advertising packages designed to fit your unique needs and goals. Our audience spans multiple demographics. That is very true, allowing you to target your ideal customers with precision. Millennials, baby boomers, everyone in between. So here's the deal. With our broad reach and passionate following, your business will see increased visibility and awareness, translating into more customers and sales. Yeah, like I said, I did one spot for Jack's, and the response on social media, and that was only about 2 hours ago when it started, and it was already at 7,000. So it's probably a lot more by now. In any case, you ready to get started? Just visit tombarnardshow.com, click on the partner tab, and let's discuss how we can work together to grow your business.
Many car dealers try to create an extreme sense of urgency. Does anybody really buy it?
We gotta sell 100 cars by Saturday to get the boss off the roof. You'll never see these rebates again. And oh yeah, your trade will never be worth more.
Really? I asked Jim Paul from Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Valley GMC in Hastings his thoughts.
I don't even know what to say. I hope folks are smarter than that.
Has there really ever been a time when it was urgent?
Probably not, but this tariff environment might be a first. Valley has several hundred pre-tariff units on the ground. Who knows what's going to happen with the tariffs, but these are really safe buys. Going forward, Valley's committed to make whatever the situation is as painless as possible, like we've always done.
Where can we find you then?
Get them pre-tariff. Hurry, hurry, hurry. When they're gone, they're gone. And man,
At a Valley store in Apple Valley or Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Certainly not on a roof.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now, let's say. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today, 952-925-5608, and set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold, investment consultant, LLC security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. And I am a paid endorser.
I have a little bit of Pope news.
Pope news.
So everybody thought maybe there'd be an election today. It doesn't, probably not, because 37 minutes ago they closed the doors and went into secrecy. So I doubt very much if they'll vote
No
today.
smoke.
Hurry up.
I haven't
I
seen
don't
smoke.
think there will be
yet?
smoke today. I mean,
I thought they had to have smoke today.
Yeah, they have to have smoke.
oh, they have to?
I think so.
Smoke
Yeah.
or black smoke.
267th pontiff.
267.
Well, the
Yep.
first was, I think, John from the Bible. So, I mean, yeah, it goes back quite a ways.
Like I said, find the Pope into the pizza. That's all I can think about whenever I hear the word Pope. And
Oh,
I grew
yeah.
up Catholic.
Or Pisabella. Yeah, are you pulling for Pisabella as the cardinal who has probably the inside run right now? He's an Italian, but at the age of 28, he went to Jerusalem, and he has been the cardinal in Jerusalem for all that time.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, but his name Pisabella.
Well, that would be a good one for you, Tom.
That
Well, we
would
do
be a
have
really
him.
good one.
But we do have Josh Arnold on the phone.
Josh, how you doing, Pally?
I am doing very well.
So now we get
How
two
about-
legends on the show at once, Josh Arnold and Don Shelby. What do you think of that?
Josh.
Hi, Don. I like that. Two legends. Well, I think he's more of a legend than I am.
Well, in a different way. Let's put it that way.
I'm a
That's it.
legend in my own mind.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you. So, Josh, what's going on with you, Pally?
All kinds of things are going on with me. But I think some breaking news.
Ooh.
It looks like Google is losing some of their search business as
Really?
more people move away from direct search and move to artificial intelligence chat box.
There's a surprising amount of people out there who don't even use Google anymore. They just ask ChatGPT everything.
Yes.
Which is horrible. As someone who is into tech, who knows a lot about tech, that's a terrible practice. Because
tell me why.
AI has a tendency it'll give you an answer even if it doesn't know the answer. It's like one of those, it's basically a sycophant. You go up to them and you say, "Hey, I need to know the name of a great, restaurant in town." And if they've never been in town anyway, they're just going to like make something up. They're going to be like, "Oh yeah, go over on 7th Street, 3 blocks down, great place." And then you'll go there and, it might be good, it might be bad. But the point is they didn't know. And AI is like that as well. And I myself have experienced that. I asked it it's a computer, it's a robot. So you think math would be like the thing it's good at. I asked it a very simple question. It was some sort of percentage question, and it was wrong by a factor of like 100. And I was like, how is it this wrong? But the point is, it can be wrong about that. It can be wrong about absolutely anything. But I will say AI is useful for certain things as long as you know enough to know when it's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But if you don't know
there are an
anything,
awful lot of people who don't know that it's wrong.
Yep.
There are an awful lot of people, and you can just see this, and I'm kind of jumping around here, but you can see this just in the test scores, particularly in urban school districts, and probably in a lot of suburban school districts where you have people graduating, if they can graduate high school, that have reading and math comprehension down about 6th grade level.
Ooh, that's bad.
That's not a real good statistic. That said, coming back to this, the reason I bring this up is the government, the Department of Justice, has been pursuing an antitrust case against Google, and wants as part of the remedy for this antitrust, wants Google to be split apart, and particularly split apart their ad business and their ad search business, which generates the bulk of Google's revenue. Now, Google does own YouTube, which now is probably the leading media outlet, and is where most younger people are now getting their news. But that's another story altogether. I bring this up because Eddie Q of Apple was asked to testify as part of this breakup or potential remedy, what his thoughts were. Now, Google does pay Apple a significant amount of money and has been paying Apple a significant amount of money for about 20 years to be the default search engine, primarily for their iPhone. And Google also pays money to companies like Samsung and others to be the default search engine on their products. The government says, well, this adds to or helps their monopoly in search. Well, Apple's response and others' response is, even if we weren't paid, people use Google primarily as the leading search engine. Although now with all these chatbots, there has been plenty of other competition. So my belief is, one, government should really stay out of this, and two, by the time the government and all the appeals to the government's remedies are done with, there is another technology that has emerged and has taken place. I think back to when the government went after AOL and tried to delay their merger with Time Warner.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
On the belief that the merger between AOL buying Time Warner would give those two domination over the internet.
Yeah, and little did they know that AOL would go from 90% of traffic to 0% within 10 years.
That's at the same time the government was pursuing that. A little private company called Google was starting to emerge. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing around, pursuing this, because there are plenty of alternatives, even at that time, to AOL for getting onto or utilizing the internet.
Like Yahoo.
Yeah, exactly. Yahoo was big for a long time.
Yeah, Yahoo was one of those. I mean, there was Ask Jeeves. And,
yep, I remember Ask Jeeves.
Microsoft
Lycos
had a product. There were, I'm not going to say 100, but there was more than AOL at the time.
Josh, is this an antitrust case? Is it actually going forward?
Oh, this is an antitrust case. We're at the point where of trying to decide how Google is being punished. Google has lost two parts of the case to the government. One was on search, and the other is on advertising. So this is the remedy phase, and the government wants some significant penalties.
But isn't it missing the broader point that the algorithms are collecting data and how that data is used and how it's being sold?
Yeah, well, that is true. I mean, it's the government wants more competition. I'm thinking, okay, there's still plenty of competition out there in terms of advertising.
Well, what's going to happen because of the current political environment at DOJ? What is the appetite for pursuing this kind of case to its ultimate conclusion?
Oh, they're hopped up on it. I mean, and there were many people who are of the belief, many investment people, and probably many of the companies thought, okay, with a new administration, they would ease back on pursuing these types of cases.
Yes.
But in essence, that is, well, it definitely has not happened. And in many cases, the government is still going full bore on cases that were started during the previous administration with an attempt to break up big tech.
And even the tech bros put in hundreds of millions of dollars into the campaign.
It does not matter. They're just and I would almost say it depends on which side of the bed that the president wakes up on. They're basically within we'll say the administration. There are, and this I take from a very interesting editorial several weeks ago in the Wall Street Journal, and the title was Musk versus Navarro.
Yep.
And it came out that there are two sides to this. One is we'll call the Silicon Valley part of MAGA. So you call the tech bros, who are basically libertarians, and they are looking for pro-growth policies, lower taxes, we'll say a lesser regulatory footprint.
Around AI, primarily.
Well, primarily around AI, and they are pro-immigration, in particular legal immigration, and they're pro-innovation. The other part, and they're also, we'll call them free traders. The other part are the, I'll call it the Steve Bannon, Steve Miller, Peter Navarro group, which is anti-big tech, anti-big pharma, anti-immigration, very big with tariffs and setting up protective walls around the country, are basically isolationists and are anti-immigration.
But
their policies want to move the United States instead of forward, but backward.
But Bannon is the odd man out in that triumvirate you just named. Bannon says a lot of interesting things, but he has become a thorn in the side of the Trump administration and his policies. He is not for tariffs. He has a softer view of immigration. And
that would be very nice, but he's included in that group. If that's the case, then I'll just leave it with Steve Miller and Peter Navarro, who want to move backwards and not forwards.
There you have it. So, Josh, we're coming home in 2 weeks. We're going to go have dinner.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think it'd be fun.
Where are we? Looking forward to it. Sammy's been looking forward to it.
Sammy I can't wait to see Sammy. First met him, about 50 years ago when it was, what was the name of the hotel again?
I think it was called the Hotel Sofitel.
Sofitel, that's exactly what it was, Sofitel. But Sammy, I've known Sammy for probably 50 years now, I would guess. And maybe even longer than that. So I'm looking forward to seeing you and Sammy both, pal. We should get Shelby to have dinner with us too.
Well, you know what? That would be very, very good. And then I definitely would be the shortest guy at the dinner table.
I don't know. Sammy's not the tallest guy I've ever seen.
No, well, Sammy's shorter than I am, but you know, with you over 6 foot, and Shelby's got to be 6'2", 6'3".
Oh, I didn't realize that.
My best day was 6'1".
Yeah, mine too.
Maybe it's the hairstyle, but
yeah, that must be it right there.
I've lost a lot of that too, so maybe I'm 5'7".
You certainly appeared very tall.
There you go.
Large personality.
Josh, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and we will definitely go see Sammy. All right.
You got a deal. Thanks.
See you,
Thanks,
Josh.
pal.
Bye.
Bye.
Josh Arnold, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take a quick break, come back, and wrap the show up right after this. What matters to business? Here's the deal. Extra is ordinary in Sioux Falls, and I do love Sioux Falls. I don't just talk about Sioux Falls because they put the script in front of me. I'm looking at the pictures right now. It's beautiful. In any case, Extra is ordinary in Sioux Falls. Just look at the numbers. In addition to having a business-friendly tax environment with no personal or corporate income taxes, Sioux Falls is growing and has a large, well-educated workforce. Cost of living is low. And with a central location, developed industrial parks, so is your cost of doing business. Contact the Sioux Falls Development Foundation to connect with tools and resources to stop searching for a perfect business site and start growing in Sioux Falls. It's the #1 most affordable city, according to Empower, the #2 best job market, according to Smart Asset, #3 in economic growth, according to Polycom. Polycom knows what they're talking about. Sioux Falls ranks #1, first in the nation for total bank assets. Sioux Falls bank assets are $3.5 trillion. Doing business in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is one of the most business-friendly states in the country, and the place to take advantage of those incentives is Sioux Falls, as the state's largest city with a metro population over 290,000. Sioux Falls has low business costs with a high quality of life. There's no state, corporate, or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and no limits to what your business can achieve. The number 1 best small city for business and careers, according to Forbes. The number 2 best state business tax climate, according to the Tax Foundation. And number 5 top state for e-commerce, according to Nexus. I love Sioux Falls. I'm not just saying that because I always have and I always will. Sioux Falls, ladies and gentlemen. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
Have you ever seen a squawk stairs? Well, look at mine.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Don Shelby in studio with us. Scott, great. Josh Arnold did a nice job with you. I mean, the whole thing just came across beautifully. Oh, I should mention, Andy, Liz Collin can't be on tomorrow because she's.
Yes, I heard.
Oh, you did hear. I just wanted to make sure you knew. But we're going to have her on as well. So, Don, do you have a setup at home that you can do shows from your house as well?
Yeah.
The reason I ask that is because I'm looking for a sports guy to do 15 minutes of sports every day. I think it should be you. Honest to God. Yeah. I just
basketball, I can do it.
Oh, you know basketball better than anybody else I know. That's for
That's
sure.
the one that Tom knows the least about. So there you go.
Well, that's probably true because
I fill in that the niche.
Been a good year for basketball.
To explain what Andy's talking about, I was 9 years old when my Minneapolis Lakers decided to move to LA, and I've hated the NBA ever since.
Yeah.
Never forgive them.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
When I started out in broadcasting, I started out as a sportscaster, and my name was Ted Schuyler.
Ted Schuyler, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
exactly. You just did the voice, but it was like, this is Ted Schuyler, and do I have news for you?
Oh, God. There you go. No, honest to God, we have to get you on at least once in a while doing sports from your house. You don't even have to leave the house. That's the great part of it.
Yeah. I'd love
Maybe he wants to get out.
Yeah, maybe he wants to get out of the house. That's true.
Oh, and as a quick aside, I saw Don Shelby being confused by that bestial sound you were hearing about 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
That would be Jude the dog snoring from Florida.
yeah, Jude.
He
Jude
snores,
is in a
man.
heavy, deep sleep.
I had finally muted our mics because it got so loud I had to mute the mics.
It was cartoon quality snoring. It was
It sure was.
something else.
I think that's
Yeah.
the loudest I've ever heard it.
Yeah, and
Oh, God,
he
yes.
muted the mics, and then we got a couple of pig grunts too.
Yeah, big.
Oh, Jude.
So Don, like I said, I need a sports guy. You need to work anyway. Just do it from your house. It'd be wonderful. But you got to come on more often. It reminds me of the great part of my career. Just looking back at all the things we had been through together, and going from Mark Rosen starting on my show 40 years ago, and they yanked him off of there and put him somewhere. He's with KFAN now, I believe. I think that's where he is now.
He still
Yeah,
is, yeah.
and also doing some Channel 9 work as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. He's doing Channel 9 work?
Yeah, he
What's-
does a sports show on there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, because Rosie and I think it was in 1978 or 9, we started watching the Final game together.
Oh,
It
sure.
was always on Monday and often carried by CBS.
Mhm.
And so I had a rule that nobody could touch me in the news department on the Monday night of the game. They could not ask me a question. They could not send me on an assignment. So Rosie and I would watch the games together. And so this last Final Four, Rosie and I watched the Final Four together at his house in downtown Minneapolis. That was the 46th year in a row
Wow.
that we had never missed watching the Final Four together.
46 years in a row.
46 years in a row.
Wow.
The only time I see Rosie now is when the family goes over to Golden Valley to eat dinner, because Rosie's there with his wife a lot too.
Right,
So I see him once in a while. And boy, I miss working with him. I loved working with him.
Yeah, that was fun.
What a wonderful man.
And the world's tallest Jew. That's the other thing.
He may be.
and a tennis player, not a basketball player.
Yeah, he played a lot of tennis.
Yeah. So
Don, what a great honor to have you on this show.
Oh,
You got to come
thanks for
back more
coming in.
often.
stop
You
it,
got to.
stop it. I would do anything in the world for you.
We got to work together more often then. I got to figure out.
Whenever you call, I'll be there.
We got to get Mike Molina, Mike Rasmussen back on the show.
Yeah. Mike
Just
Molina.
gonna rewind 8 years.
He's still,
How
matter of
long
fact,
ago did you leave the show?
Oh, my.
That was a long
It
time
was a
ago.
long
That's
time.
back when we were still in the
You were in
Itasca
Itasca.
building.
You're in Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Tesco
at
building.
least
7 years, 6 years.
7. I met Melissa
9.
7 years ago, so it would have been 7+. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
well, we got to get together more often because, it's one of those situations where you never know. That's all I have to say.
Let's
For,
smoke a cigar somewhere on somebody's roof.
well, I learned so much on the roof of Channel 4 right there in the corner. Was it 13th and Nicollet? That's 13th, isn't it? The side street? It was
11.
only 11th.
11.
11th. Okay, that makes sense. That makes more sense actually thinking about it. But yeah, thank you so much for all that. I learned a lot from you about how to handle being famous. I did not know how to handle being famous, and you taught me a lot about it. Then basically, you just said to me, tell them to go fuck themselves.
Those are the critics. But the thing that I think I said to you that I've noticed has made a great difference, because I would see you having, when you were at the former station, you would take your fans to different locations. And I just celebrated that, because one of the things that I try to tell people, and I watched other anchors do something that I despised. People would, if somebody came up at the table where they're having dinner and say, I really, really like you, and it takes a lot of energy and courage on the part of people to step up, because they know they're interrupting.
Right.
And I've seen so many famous people and anchors say, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm just
God.
leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Yeah, don't do that.
And I think that was a major change for you, because when I'm doing a show like a Chanhassen, one of the things I say is, you are the reason I was able to live my dream.
Mhm.
Yep. That's
It was
right.
you.
Yep.
You were the one who invited a stranger into your private home, sometimes your bedroom, to and I hope I didn't make a mess. And if I did, I hope I cleaned it up.
There you go.
But you make your bed when you leave the house as a guest, that the fans are the most important. And so I finally got Barbara to the point where, because she would get annoyed when people would come up and take our time away from each other by having a conversation. I'm saying, Barbara, you have to understand, these are the most important people.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of why we have the lifestyle we have. They made me. They made me. And they also made me in this psychological sense. They always thought I was better than I knew I was in terms of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to do was live up to that.
Yeah.
So what I became, because I'm just a series of Post-it notes, just the good things that I have seen other people do and what people expect in terms of behavior, is to live up to what they thought I was.
Sure.
And so I'm a better person as a result of them. So the what I owe that audience, and I saw that when you reached out to all your fans and said, let's go to Vegas. Let's spend some time together. Or when you were having, I was invited to one of your events at a big theater complex, and you were there to celebrate them. And I thought, man, you got it going on.
Yeah, who did I learn that from? Some guy, I think DS might be his initials. That's a possibility. One thing I want to close with this, Don, because it does bother me quite a bit, even though I'm not involved in it any longer. And that's just the way it is. But local television and radio is just about over. It makes me very, very sad. The numbers are just nowhere near what they used to be. It just local news was everything to me, 6 and 10. Even when I was getting up at 3:30 in the morning, I'd watch the 10 o'clock news whenever I possibly could.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have the impact. It's still there, but it doesn't have the impact it used to. And radio is just about, I'd say, maybe 3 years away from going under.
Yeah. Appointment television, appointment radio, no longer.
Appointment television hasn't been a thing for ages.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time I sat down. I was like, oh, 7 o'clock, time to watch whatever. I don't know if I've ever done that in my life.
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know what the figures are, but I think the last figures I saw that 60 minutes would be the probably the pinnacle of appointment television. You had to be there to watch 60 minutes. I think 40% now watch it streaming. They don't sit in front of the television.
Only 40?
Mhm.
That's surprising, actually.
Then that was the last I heard, Andy. So it could be 70.
And this was in
by now.
1990. So.
Yeah.
God,
The numbers have
whoever
changed
thought?
since then.
I mean, back then, Channel 4's WCCO TV and WCCO radio were just killing the market. I mean, you guys had radio, you had television, at the Star Tribune a couple of blocks away. And I mean, that newspapers are done for. Local television is still there, but it's not relied upon for information.
1,600 newspapers, Tommy, have gone out of business in the last 5 years.
1,600.
Yeah, we have a small town one, and I honestly don't know if it's going to be around in 5-10 years because it's just like, is there a market for it? I don't
Doesn't
know.
seem like it.
No, and the problem now with a struggle for ratings, it had always been a thorn in my side, but now it's more apparent than ever. And I can sum it up in this way, that the marketeers said, if you really want ratings, if you really want viewers, you have to give people what they want to know.
Yeah.
You have to give them stories they like. And that is the antithesis of how I was raised in the journalism world, that you give people what they need to know, not what they want to know. And that's a failure in terms of citizenship on the part of journalism. And so it's a lot of it's pablum. So my final line is this. A person will stop me from time to time and they say, we miss you on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly what they mean, but I take it based on the wording. I said the other day, and it just came out of my mouth. I said, because I've been watching for 12 years now, television news. I said, I miss me on TV. That doesn't mean
I understand that.
Yeah.
I do not want to go back, but what the kind of journalism I and my peers cleaved to during that period of time was the hard fact, just providing information, not providing information you wanted. And so I always wanted to say, one time asked a news director, could I introduce myself this way at the start of the news? Good evening, everyone. This is Don Shelby, and this is the news. God damn it.
Well, there you go.
You better pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention. Very quick thing you just did. And just talking about this got me looking back at the old days and all the rest of it. And of course, Dave Moore was a legend who was there just before you were. Yeah. Dave Moore was an amazing, and I will never forget this. The first time I ever met Dave Moore, I had seen him before because he used to like to play softball and to do all that stuff with people.
Yep.
But the first time I ever walked up and introduced myself, Dave Moore, who was God in my house when I was a little boy.
Yes.
I walk up to him and he goes, "Oh my God, you're Tom Bernard. You're a legend." I literally started crying. I was like, what the hell, Don? You're the king of the world. And he was that nice. He was incredibly nice to me.
It's the graciousness.
Yep.
That That's another post-it note you put on yourself. I need to be that way.
Yep.
I need to be that way with people.
Yep.
And I just love it. The late Michael Brindisi, who was a Broadway star and then started the Chanhassen Dinner Theater and became a noted director. He directed me in Love Letters before he passed away, and he said to me after the first show, he came back to the dressing room and gave me a hug, and he said, "Who knew?" And I said, "Who knew what?" And he said, "That you were such a fine actor."
Oh,
no. Okay, but stop there. I didn't believe that for a moment. I knew I wasn't a fine actor. But what was important to me is that this wonderful human being embraced me and said something to me that would make me feel good.
Yep.
Make me feel proud. Even though I didn't believe it, I knew it was not true, that he had taken the time to be gracious and giving and give something very special to me that no one else could have given me. And so that was a Post-it note. I need to be like that. I need to be.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's so amazing. And I will close with this, that looking back, Channel 4 was the deal. As I said, WCCO radio was one of the highest rated. Matter of fact, 2 times now, my show was the highest rated in the nation. But before that, WCCO radio was number 1 in the nation.
Yep.
And I look back at the people. Dave Moore could not have been nicer to me.
Yes.
I've worked with Mark Rosen, Pat Miles. Every time I see her, it's like I'm seeing a friend from 1,000 years ago. I just love her.
Right. Yes.
So all of the people that I watched for years and years and admired and all the rest of it, and every one of you became great friends of mine, and I'm very grateful for that.
I'll tell you a real quick story and we'll go. Okay. Dave Moore would come to me. I worked with him for 25 years. He was my mentor. I stole everything in the world I could steal from him to learn how to be a better communicator. And because he was not a journalist, he was an actor. And he would say to me, "You're 90% journalist and 10% actor. I'm 90% actor and 10% journalist. Maybe we can rub off on each other." And we did over that period of time, because I became much better at communication rather than just reporting a litany of facts. And,
right.
But reaching out and having a communication directly with the audience. And so I learned a lot from him. But he would always say, once a year, he would tell me a joke. And he did it for 25 years. He would tell me the joke, and I don't know whether he had forgotten he had told me the joke, or he intentionally was telling me the same joke over and over and over again. And he would come in, hang dog, and he'd say, "I had a bad day." And I go, well, Dave, what happened? And then he would start the joke, and then I would listen intently to this joke as though he had never told it before.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Shirley told me that I needed a new seersucker suit, and I was supposed to go to Cox's and get a new seersucker suit. And I said, "Well, what's the problem with that?" "Well, I made a mistake. I went to Sears."
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Okay, that's it. I went to Sears.
Wow.
Okay. Well, Don, you got to come back a lot more. It's lovely to have you on.
Great.
Whenever you ask.
Even though you got your hat from Sears. Thanks so much. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
I'll do a quick post-show wrap-up to talk about a couple things for the audience. As always, you're looking for some podcast merch, go to our website, click on the merch tab. You can get the IQ 92 hat, not from Sears, but directly from us. What else are we talking about? Oh, the comments on the X post for Jack's Cafe. X.com/Tom Bernard OG, or just search Tom Bernard OG on X. That would be Tom's personal handle. Look for the post about Jack's Cafe, comment under there, and you get put into a drawing to win $100 at Jack's Cafe.
Yep.
We are going to try to get that thing pinned because it's already 8 tweets deep and it's not even been 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a little hard to find at this point, but pinning
I
should
think I can. I
Yeah.
can pin it. I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
There you go.
And then the next couple of days, things are changing behind the scenes. You can check out our Facebook post. I put one up last night. Basically, the gist of it is we're changing the way content is delivered on the back end, which is going to break the apps. I've already put out an update to the Google app, the Android app. So as long as they accept it, it should already be updated by the time Thursday hits. I'm going to hopefully get that up for Apple as well. And if I get them both up in time, you shouldn't have to worry about anything. But if your app does break on Thursday, then check Facebook, make sure that the updates actually exist. And if they do, then you might have to go into the App Store or whatever and manually update them yourself. Other than that, I think everything should be good to go.
There you have it. Thanks again, Don.
I love you. Thank
Love
you.
you too, Pally. Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Every time I get to see it reminds me how you talking my